Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 5:34. No intros needed. Approval of minutes. We just were having a discussion when you were out of the rooms here. Even though there was no quorum on the November 1st, we should probably have something just to state that we approve. Just for the records that like the meeting did occur, but there was no quorum. You know what I mean?
What you want?
Like, I think
Like
just
a-
literally like this with the date, and then it can just say, you know, maybe who's in attendance, but there was no quorum, you know, and then that's it. But then at least there's a record that, you know, that we had it, there was an agenda and, you know, the meeting did take place, but there was just no quorum for us to conduct any business. Yeah. we'll do that.
Minutes, which.
Yeah, which one?
Okay.
Yep.
So you wanna move that to next?
Yeah, we'll do that in January. But as far as the November 4th minutes go, there was just this one tiny little typo I see for updates. There's just an extra E at the end. But with that change, that was a new business AI. But with that change, I'd move that we accept the meeting minutes as emailed. Okay, any discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, great. That's minutes, public comments, seeing none. We move to new business, which is the 2024 meeting schedule and proposed.
So, this to you. And Fallon, I gotta email this to you real quick or try to pull it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, actually, guys.
We're running in March and not in October.
Trying to give it
Yeah.
something that we can.
Yeah.
Work with here a little bit, get a little bit organized. Okay, so I wanted to create a calendar just to try to coordinate some of the different activities that we have going on and things that we said that we wanted to move forward for next year. Also, just a reminder of some of the meetings that we did cancel. So we actually did cancel our January meeting because it's on the 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Right after holidays, so we did do that, so our next meeting wouldn't be until February.
Okay.
At that meeting, each meeting moving forward, I just wanted to really dive into the business outreach with each of you guys and kind of hear about what you're experiencing, whether you're out there or calling people or just some of the general feedback you're getting. Also thought it would be great to, by this time, the ordinance and everything should be in place so that we can vote on the bylaws. The bylaws do not need to go to the city council, they can just be voted on by us. And then also Liv from Blue Dot is going to come in via Zoom and do another training for us on the Blue Dot platform. I feel like I said Blue Dot for something else that I didn't mean for, but you guys get the gist of February, I'm sorry.
I think February is good, and the only thing I'd add on to that is if, I think we talked about this last time, that list of like sort of businesses we wanted to target that we had, I think at the beginning of this year, if you, great. Because this, we could just go directly into Blue Dot, so that's awesome.
And I will add it to our Fallon, I just handed everyone an updated business list that Nishant was referring to, and I will update the calendar invite for today with all the information in it.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, so I just did kind of like a quick, just going back to the schedule. February, we'll do the Blue Dot trainings, kind of the biggest thing in the vote. I then wanted to vote on the grant program in March potentially, if we are all on the same page with that, and then dive into program planning that we have for the 2024, for the rest of 2024. I just noted, not that we have to do these, but National Small Business Week is in late April, early May. Thames River Heritage Foundation runs the water taxi that goes in between Groton and London. They are doing fundraising cruises annually now, so we can partner. We did one, I think 2 years ago now, where we partnered with Avery Cop Museum, and so all the proceeds of the trip went to them, so we could do that with other businesses or historic sites within the area. And then Brew Run is the third big event, and then any others that we make with. I know we're still doing like the ribbon cuttings and business strolls and all that kind of gets incorporated, but
Wasn't that Groton City Day, the trip on the
Yeah.
water taxi?
Mhm. So maybe start a program planning in March. Then moving on to April, kind of continue that program planning discussion, but then I wanted to bring in, so we are a member of Connecticut Main Streets and have been for a couple years now. We just, they kind of revamped their approach and structure to revitalizing corridors and how they support municipalities. So now that they have their new approach, I just got our assessment done with a Cara Rosa from that organization. Staff wise, we're kind of gonna go through it and maybe see, digest the information, because it was a lot. It was like a 3-hour assessment of just talking back and forth about it. But then I wanted to, we'll go through that with him more in depth, but then I wanted to bring him to this commission because there's a lot of things within there that impact us directly, or are topics that I think this is where our advisory point is going to come in for just us to brainstorm ideas, how we want to really move economic development forward and what that management style really looks like right here in the city. I think that's going to take us a couple meetings to get through, as well as the program planning. And then in May, I wanted to add in the discussions about the American Rescue Plan small business funding that we got. We are, from an administrative side in the backdrop, understanding exactly what contracts need to be in place. We are going to be working with the Business Development Council, but we just need to make sure it's federal funds. So everybody wants to make sure all I's are dotted, T's are crossed before we move forward. But we are anticipating a spring launch, or we could do it in the summer or fall. It's completely up to us, but I just wanted us as a group to revisit that of how we are going to support it moving forward. There is a committee that needs to be formed to review the applications, so that is probably the biggest thing that we need to decide and kind of pull people into work on. And then June would just kind of be a wrap up of all those discussions, and then in July we're off. So
Yeah,
I think for the first half of the year,
no, it's a good.
that's a good kind of, that seems in line with everything that we're doing and everything that we wanted to do. I just wanted to run it by you guys and see how you feel, or if there are any specific projects, things that you want to discuss in 2024 that we should be taking into consideration.
I feel like this year, the economic grant, I think we were hoping to try to approve them at this meeting. But I think, I don't know if they're fully done, because we still had like one edit to make in terms of like a timeline. So I think that gives us, if we do it this way in March, then we can have it effective, end of the fiscal year and starting the new fiscal year. So if we don't do it now, then I guess pushing it off till then is fine.
And my apologies, I have not been able to get back to the grant was the only thing I was not able to get back to before this meeting.
No worries, yeah, no, that's.
So that timeline is not in there yet, as of yet. Does anyone else have any questions? Margaret, I just wanted to, what do you remember? From the dates, a proposed schedule to kind of keep us on track of all the topics. I'm just moving up to the end of the fiscal year. I don't think that's full action.
No,
You guys do not-
Okay, all right, that looks good, so yeah, I think this way, at least we have a plan, so if anything else comes up, we can aim at the plan moving forward, now that you have the document, so. It's good. So next is business outreach update. At least on my side, that's been mostly for the ribbon cutting, that's been what we've been, Sierra and I've been working on that together, for the ribbon cutting. From that perspective, I CC'd you on an email this morning, which we're gonna get to. I know on the ribbon cutting, but I have not heard back from Light. I reached out to them, but that, hopefully that can also turn into the, the outreach here,
Yeah.
so. But when I called, they said email Kurt, and I emailed Kurt, followed up with Kurt, did not hear back, so.
Kurt is aware, but confirmed because he followed up with the mayor who then followed up with me. So it's been
So,
like a little
Didn't get back.
ring
to me.
around the roots, yeah.
Okay.
Who's doing what, but yes, we will
Okay.
follow up on that.
It would have been nice to reply. That's okay, all right. Okay, I get that, but that's on my side. Anybody have any other business reach up to?
No.
For me, I do, but mine are more so in regards to the grant program, so I won't hold off on sharing mine until after. I will say, so Angelina Aesthetics, which is on Thames Street, she's been doing great. She actually got an award from Women's Business Development Council for equipment in the facility. And she also, through that connection of Women's Business Development Council, she's been able to find a hairstylist to go into the salon. So they are now partnering and utilizing WBDC's grants to move that business forward. They are thoroughly excited. She's continuing to make improvements. She is somebody I want to talk about a little bit later, but that highlight of her win with WBDC is big, and they did a really good like social media share, which the city is going to pick up and send out as well. And yeah, most of my other outreach has been in regards to the ribbon cutting.
Can I ask a logistical question? Friendly Tide changed hands this last week. A week and a half ago. How do we go? I mean, I don't know who the new owners are quite yet. But what is the typical process for updating UDOT? They haven't opened quite yet. I mean, it's still gonna be called Friendly Tide from what I understand. But
I would just, yeah, it's just to update the information and the contact. I want, not contact, leave job, thank you. I wouldn't delete the previous
No.
contacts, I would just add to it and just make a note of it changed hands or whatever, just so we have that record, because.
I just hope that they use the same heat scale that everybody's familiar with.
1 to 5.
Someone thought, I heard someone say it was the Pink Basil people from, I don't know
Really?
if that's true or not.
I don't know. It's a Thai couple.
Yeah.
Who are gonna maintain the name.
Okay,
Cool.
Is it just the restaurant or the whole building?
So I don't know. Just the restaurant was all that was announced.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
Alright, so that's business outreach. EDC ordinance revision, I think we're at the public notice.
We are at the public notice stage. It does need to go to the mayor and council before it gets to the public notice stage, so that is gonna happen on the 18th.
Oh, okay, I thought you were back, okay, so that's happening on the 18th. Got it, okay. So that's that, the bylaw revisions are contingent upon ordinance revisions, which, so, we need to push that off to February as.
But if there are any other, I think we are basically squared away with it, but if there were any other revisions that you wanted to consider, please email those to me.
Went through that pretty closely. We talked about the program revisions a little bit. I think we've gone through that a few times now. And I think it's just that timeline, whatever we talked about last time, that just needs to be added. And then that'll look pretty good.
There is something on page. So it's on page 3 of the grants, but I do want to bring back into question, it's applications for work completed within the previous 6 months prior to submittal of a grant application can be considered for this program. I would like us to go back and address that and explain those. I think that might
Okay. That works.
understand why. I just want us to rethink that a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the only edit I think I had, and I will get that timeline to you. And if that is the case, then maybe we could do it in February. I can have it.
We could, my only thought is that we did want to give a little bit of time, so we could make it like end of March, but. As an effective date, for the changes, but February may also be busy, between bylaws, outreach, the Blue Dot training, I don't know how long. It's going to
Usually
take.
have her come in around 6, like I give us the first half an hour and then she'll come in.
Yeah,
Why
why don't we aim for it, and then, that way we can at least get it, I think it's been on our plate for like 6 months now, so at least we can get it off the agendas here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So ribbon cutting celebration update, so Sarah and I decided on December 14th as a date, I believe, it's a Thursday. The businesses that got back to us were Twisted Misty on Mitchell Street, Angelique Aesthetics on Thames Street, and then Alley on Thames on Main Street. We were, our thought was to do sort of 20-minute segments, starting at 5, start at Twisted Misty, then go down to Angelique, then Alley on Thames, and then that would be an hour, 20 minutes each, and then finish up with just basically a casual reception at Outer Light, just to have something there. Get a couple just platters of apps, people can get their own drinks and bring people together. That was the idea at 6. And so I don't know if you've gotten confirmation from those businesses.
So I got confirmation from Twisted Misty and Alley on Thames, and we're still just awaiting Angelina and Outer Light. Yeah, and the Outer Light is new. We were originally going to try to go with 40 Thieves, but that management structure may not be moving forward as previously thought, so we're gonna let them figure that out before we try to host events there and quarterly thing. So we are shooting for December 14th. I think we'll follow up to see.
Yeah, we need to get this certified like this week. We're gonna go for December 14th. Even then, it's still, that's next week.
Yeah.
Right, so we're pushing it as it is.
And I will say, Twisted Misty and Alley, we already know Alley's been flexible, so if we did want to adjust the dates, they would be.
Maybe we should, I think at this point, I know, yeah, so let's get a hold of Angelique. Like I said, I haven't heard back from Outer Light, but if you have a better connection, then great, if they can, I figured a Thursday is a pretty safe bet for them to be able to put, a portion of their tap room that's reserved, so probably worthwhile, if we miss the week after, which is already kind of close, then, we may have to push to January, but ideally not. So, yeah, if we can solidify there, I'm glad at least you're hearing back from Outer Light.
And I do have Kirk's direct number and left him a message, so I can, I'll follow up tomorrow as well with both.
Yeah, because that would be what,
get anyone back.
21st, yeah, so. Yeah.
Will you guys, again, be available to attend a Thursday event? of
I
this?
can.
14.
You said just.
Yeah. Oh, well, there we go. Okay, so it works out. Yeah.
So, wait, what's the following?
21st. That's getting close.
It is close. Yeah.
Too close to the holidays.
I think a kickoff of the new year might be nice.
Yeah, I think the issue is that we just keep pushing this off, you know, so I'm trying to get it done.
The 21st could also work with a pre-holiday.
little thing.
Good.
So either the 21st or
Yeah,
if we didn't do the first, the last week isn't, I don't think it's gonna be.
No, no.
Anything.
And I
And
would
the
even
first
say-
week of January, I think would be a good time, so either the 21st or what, like the
Push
10th or something like
yeah,
that?
the 11th would be the first Thursday in January, so, yeah, I mean, if we can't get this booked on the 21st by like even the end of this week, I'd say we'll push it on to January. But if we can get it booked and then marketed by, you know, the end of this week, then, or at least the flyer out by the beginning of next week, that should be enough.
Alright, TV.
All right, did you see that? I invited you to that Canva thing. See that?
No, they're not with that, no.
Yeah, I made on Sunday, I made something on Canva and I invited you to it, so if you didn't get it, I can send it again.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you can, try to send it again, because I didn't see that.
Okay.
Alright, anything else on the ribbon cuttings? I am gonna skip one of the community engagements, or actually. Yeah, let me skip the community engagements, cause, we just talked about the ribbon cuttings, and then the planning and zoning commission one, we actually have to excuse Jason before we have that conversation. So I'm just gonna jump into the grant submissions that I have, well, technically, they're not full submissions, I've been working with, as you guys know, Barking Pumpkins LLC and Angelina Aesthetics on their applications. So for Barking Pumpkins, their work is approaching that 6-month deadline, but the only thing that is holding them up is they're waiting for a meter to get put in the back of the building so that the building permit can be closed. But all the work is complete, they just don't. Their
Well-
building permit isn't,
I think you could just say that the fact that the meter isn't in means that the work isn't done. You could use that meter being installed, even though it's not necessarily the work they're being reimbursed for, it's part of the project that they were doing.
but it's in the back. Has nothing to do with the front.
But if that's what the permit is tied to.
If the permit's tied to it, or you have a requirement that you have to, then that's what it's tied to, and just say contingent.
So the 6-month calendar hasn't started yet, you're saying?
That's the way I would look at it, because again, if that, you know, their work, if their project, which included a work on the, you know, on the facade. You know, this project included a meter and that meter isn't done, the project isn't done, you know, that's the way I look at it, but.
So not based off of the receipts. So this is gonna be, that 6 months is from the time of completion where we have everything completed, or from when we work?
From when all of the work is completed, I'd say that day that everything is complete and, you know. That's the day that, you know, that timer starts.
So it doesn't matter if the permit was approved in January, but the work actually happened in June of the previous year. That's still okay?
Well,
I think if there was something, like if the meter was installed and. That project was done and then but they couldn't get the permit issued because something was incorrect. That might be a different story, but here the project isn't done, you know what I'm saying, like their entire project is not complete.
because they need that meter to complete their project.
To get the permit. To get the permit.
Yeah, exactly, so getting the permit approved has gotta be part of completing the project.
I would even like look at it without the permit, right, take the permit out, their project is just not done yet. You know, that's the way I look at it, even though the facade is done, I mean, if you think about construction, sometimes they finish the outside before the inside stuff, you know, something like that. But the project isn't necessarily complete,
if we take the permit out, I feel like the project is complete. The minor facade, what they're applying for, that work is really complete. What the building permit, the thing that's tied to the building permit doesn't have anything to do with the minor facade. It's just tied to
Yeah.
it because of the permit.
But that was part of it. I think the point I'm making is that it's a bigger project than just the facade. Like, I get that we are only looking at the facade, but they have a bigger project, you know, and it's just the order of operations. They happen to do the facade first and the meter second, as opposed to the meter first and the facade second, but it's one project. And so because that project is not complete, therefore, you know, their product is not complete and then we have a 6-month wait. I mean,
So the project is considered complete once all of this is complete, not when the work was done or anything, is when they submit the application to us. Because the way we have it worded is anything 6 months back from the submission is what would be included. So if their receipts are beyond the 6 months, so in our interpretation, that
Moving
wouldn't.
forward, I think what you're saying is your interpretation is if they finish the work, the meter installed in January. Then they came to us in June and said, can I get reimbursed for the work? It had to have been within 6 months of the application for the reimbursement. In this case, the application preceded the work. And you're saying that you're worried about the wrap up of the whole project, including things that are not germane to the grant. We're waiting to reimburse them until they get that other portion of the project done.
yeah, because they can't get, I guess the way they submitted their building permit, they can't get the permit to be complete until the meter is installed.
Yeah, I guess what I'm wondering is what the intent of the grant parameters are. Are we concerned that if the work isn't fully done, that there could be growth that the work that's germane to the grant has been completed and the ink is dried on the receipts. So I think that is finite. So we have the objective quality evidence that we need to show that the contribution was made, the work was done for that part. So I don't know that we need to get hung up on other things that are part of the permit.
But then they would no longer be, I think the problem here is that they would no longer be qualified because they still
It
don't
would
have the
extend
meter.
beyond.
Yeah, it would extend beyond the 6 months and we wouldn't be able to reimburse the work.
But they're not looking to reimburse the meter, correct? They're just looking,
Correct.
so I would figure that we can assume that the application was sent in within the 6 months that the facade was finished. So then therefore we adopt the application, so they're fine, even though we don't have the
Yeah, does the application have to be approved within 6 months or we just have to receive it within?
I think so long as we receive the application in 6 months of what we're reimbursing them for, it should be fine, even if it's have some slight hangovers.
Application for work completed within the previous 6 months prior to the submittal of a grant application can be considered for this program.
Yeah, not, hey, I put a new awning on 2 years ago. Can I get reimbursed for that? No, that's outside the window.
So they submitted with. It sounds
Yeah,
like
so it's like the
everything's
work was done,
Within the 6 months.
I think in June, and they submitted. They worked, June, and then they submitted the application in August.
Yeah, they're fine then.
Yeah, so as long as.
So
the
no, this
application-
submission,
The
but then
submission,
technically,
they just can't get reimbursed until that,
That
that-
they meet all the criteria.
yeah, and which includes them getting the permit.
so the date I received the
Is the-
application
Within 6 months of the work.
has to be with it.
Yes. I think we made this vague for this reason, you know, so that because like this is obviously an extenuating circumstance. We know the meter has nothing to do with it. The meter's on back order. It's holding up their reimbursement. This is why we wanted to be flexible in the document and allow us to say, yeah, well, we received it in the first 6 months. As soon as we get the building permit, we're in good shape.
Well, but good shape to not disqualify them because of the span of time.
Right,
I'm just wondering why we're waiting to reimburse for the meter's sake.
Because of the building, because the requirement is a building permit and they have not gotten their permit.
When they pulled the permit, so for their application, they did the entire siding, all 4 sides of their building.
Okay.
The facade piece got done first.
Yeah.
And then they did the back, but when the contractor took out the permit, he just took out one permit for the whole job.
Yeah, understood. I was trying to, I don't have the document in front of me, so I don't, the regulation in front of me, so I don't remember how the permit was tied to completion for the sake of reimbursement. But, because I don't recall that, I didn't recall that we necessarily required there to be a permit.
Yeah, they had, there's a set of criteria, that Groton Utilities in the building.
Yeah, I think the permit had to be there because they're. Yeah, I think we,
Well, what I mean is, could there be a facade improvement that requires no permit?
Not even Margaret required a permit for that awning.
I don't.
Right? Would you
All
need a
proposals must
permit to
comply
paint?
with building and zoning requirements to be eligible. It is responsibility of the applicant to ensure the proposal complies with building and zoning requirements.
Yep.
And has written approval from all appropriate city staff before funds are dispersed.
So it could be that it conforms with building and zoning requirements, meaning no permit is required to paint the front of the building.
Yeah.
So in theory, we could have a project that doesn't actually pull a permit.
Right,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, you could have.
if it's not
possibilities.
required, yeah, but if it is required, like in this case, then it needs to be fully approved
Mhm.
before we can.
But then that's just the disperse of funds piece. So technically they meet the program, it's just,
They meet the program.
yeah, they meet the program, it's just,
So the permit to perform the work was approved.
yes, it just hasn't closed, so they didn't finish, it's still open.
Okay. All right, I'm just trying to find a reason to get us past our own verbiage, so we don't hold them up. The reimbursement.
Well, at the end of the day, if they had, pulled I guess I don't know how exactly the intricacies of the permits, but I feel like if they pulled 2 permits, this could have also been solved, yeah.
Is there
I wonder
any
if that would
way,
be 2 separate fees though.
yeah, there would have been.
Yeah.
Is there any way to get a letter from the building people to say that, at this point, we're just awaiting and we anticipate? Or would they do that?
But again,
But
do
they
we
don't do
require-
their final inspection, so it's kind of like, even if they were to write it, it's kind of like,
Yeah, it's good.
it's done, but their inspection wouldn't be done until the project's done.
Sure.
I'm not trying to make this difficult.
No,
Yeah.
you're right, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the concept for the permit was approved, they paid the fee, the work commences. Until they had the inspector come out and validate that it was all done. In theory, the inspector could come out and go, what have you done out here? This is not the code, and so we may have reimbursed them for work that they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So I don't have my head around that. Because it falls under the building permit requirements, then we should wait till the building inspector accepts the work that was done.
But I think for purposes of the timeline,
Because they gave it to
because
us.
it is submitted,
It's also.
yeah,
Yeah.
if they had not even talked to you, and now, like, it's next month, and they're saying, oh, we actually did this big siding project.
Mhm.
Then we would have a problem and say, okay, well, you missed the 6 months.
Wait. Okay, so we are. Okay, I get that. I like that they came to me before they got started. And then been keeping track of this, cause if somebody waited until the end, it would make the application is really confusing, I'm trying to figure it out.
I think even if they got the meter next month, they'd still be good till July.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the
July,
vagueness in there,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
it's good, yeah.
Okay,
Cause I got the front work and the meter done, took them 6 months to get all that done, but that work wasn't finished until January. I think they're still good for 6 more months.
Yeah, cause they'll have a receipt when that's put in, and like,
Mm-hmm.
it's the final receipt for the project, we just pay it as we went, so.
Yep.
Again, more about this project than you
Mhm.
may typically, otherwise, we may have just gotten, to Jason's point, see, okay, we finished the project on this date, they included siding on the facade, so.
Okay,
I think we have two ways out here, you know, the application submission or. As long as some part of the project is ending within 6 months, there's still a window.
okay. Okay. Alright, so I'll wait for that to go. For Angelina Bennett, so similar one, we talked about this project before she got started. She was doing new sign, windows, landscaping, and then one of the big things that she needed to deal with was getting AC to the unit. She did the sign. And then she wasn't able to take advantage of Groton Utilities rebate thing, but this was like, I think it was like in June or in. Actually, we started this. She started this in March, has the receipt from the finished business sign for June. But then she took a break from the rest of the stuff because she had to buy the unit out of pocket for the AC and get that in since it's the summertime. But now she's picking back up with the work to finish it. It is well over 6 months. It wasn't technically a completed application when she came to talk to me, so how would we want to proceed? And should she submit, could she submit one application for the business sign, which is about a little bit under $400, and then come back and submit a second application for the other repairs that she's doing to kind of get back in the timeline?
Yeah, I don't see, I think the rules say you can't apply for the 2,500 more than once a year. So if she's under that 2,500.
Okay, so we should just do two submissions?
I would say so, yeah, if she doesn't have a timeline on the second, we're basically right up at the, you know,
At the 6
we're at the 6 month
Yeah,
piece, yeah, I'd say submit one now so we can get her to 400 and then.
okay. So by the time we get that submission, it's not gonna be until February. So are we still, as a committee, fine with that?
But she hasn't done the work for the second submission.
For the second submission, no, she's actively doing that now.
Okay.
But the sign is already installed.
And you received documentation for the sign, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so then
yeah,
that's
so-
within 6 months, yeah, and we
Okay.
can, yeah, so tell them just to complete the application for the sign. And then move forward, so like.
And then we'll do the other stuff on a
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah.
It's for the challenge.
Yeah. Glad we made it this big.
I was like thinking about it, I was like, let me just bring it back to them and see how they would like to move forward. Okay, so. All right, so those are the questions I had for that. So the last thing, any other questions from you guys? I'm sorry. Before. So the last thing I have on here is there's a public hearing for the Planning and Zoning Commission. There is a request from Leslie for our participation either in the event or writing a letter for this, but I am gonna ask Jason to excuse himself since he does sit in the Planning and Zoning Commission, so.
Well,
Just on the safe side.
and Sierra and I were chatting about this before the meeting started. This is probably my last Economic Development Commission meeting. I'm on 4 different boards and commissions, and I'm more involved now with planning and zoning than I was before. I was an alternate before on that. So something's got to go, and I haven't been very engaged with this, in a while, so I don't think I'm giving it the attention it deserves. So not certain yet. We'll keep talking, but now that we've painted ourselves in a good territory where require quite so many bodies. It might be saved, but if I don't, thanks so much for everybody.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your help.
If I do, I'll see you in February.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'll see you December 12th at the hearing.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about you, but sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You have a good one and happy holidays.
Take care.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
You have to turn off the recording.
No, we're fine now. Record. See if I can pull this up for you.
Okay.
Actually, fine, I'll just read it to you. Sorry. Sent an email to me as a reminder, the Planning and Zoning Commission is holding a special meeting on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, in the council chambers at the municipal building regarding a long-awaited application to amend the general commercial regulations along Upper Thames Street, Bridge Street, and a portion of North Street. So there is a link that I can send to everyone, but it's a link to just the application itself and the amended text. This does bridge back from, you guys remember a couple of months ago, Leslie came and talked to us about these updates and kind of what the direction was. So this is just the official version of that, the official public hearing for that. So she is looking for the EDC commission's or commissioner's opinion of the amended text. Whether you can make it in person, if we want to write a letter, which you can send via email, or if as a commission, I don't know if we have a shared, not that it has to be shared views, but generally just questions, concerns, or opinions about this that we want to share with the Planning and Zoning Commission. I don't know exactly how you guys will move forward, but you can kind of let me know. We can talk about it a little bit more. Some of the main things that the biggest thing that they are doing is increasing the density within that area. Right now, there are only 2 dwelling units that are allowed per parcel in that zone, in the current general commercial zone, northern general commercial zone. So that is being increased to as much significant number. I think it's like, as of right, they can go to 4 stories. Special permit would require, they could go up to 5 or 6 stories with a special permit, which means they would have to come before the Planning and Zoning Commission to kind of finalize their plans and give their argument for why they need that higher density. We do have a number of property owners and developers that are interested in doing something in the area, at least adding, like building upon the mixed use, but really having more of a residential presence in that area. So
What time is it?
we start at 6, I believe. You guys see the new City of Groton website?
I don't know yet.
Yeah, it went before it opened and it got to go back.
There is an issue though, where if you Google something specific about City of Groton, I was trying to get a City of Groton map, if Google pulls up only dead links, because nothing else is linked to that website yet. So if I'm looking up something specific for Groton City, it pulls up a dead link, unfortunately. That's the one thing I've noticed about it.
So you Google, okay.
So if you Google something very specific, if you like City of Groton map, it'll pull up a dead link.
Not all the links have been installed to the game.
Yeah,
It looks nice.
it does, it looks very nice. It's way easier to navigate when you're over it.
Looks good. Now I like how that brand is looking on there too. Tiny.
this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Little bit,
They're doing a great job, showing up the website here.
to our web, go to our page and see.
Are you just trying to find the time of the meeting?
Yeah,
Could you
There's
look
not a
at
calendar on the front?
Agendas and meetings and minutes, and then just go to the committee that it is.
It's just the meeting on the 12th. Nope. No meeting on, that's beach and park.
Let's be, you gotta keep going.
Community, you gotta go down to town. So mayor and council.
Wow, I can probably find these Zoom links that I keep emailing you
Yeah.
back in the middle of meetings.
thing that is great about this, is you can sign up and it will send you anytime the agenda or anything's posted, it sends it directly to you.
That's-
There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, 6:30. 6:30.
6:30.
Oh, it's out.
I can do it, but it's.
So if you aren't able to make it, if you do have a strong opinion, or
Or documents available.
yes, it is available. I will email it, I'll send everyone,
Yeah, thank you.
an email with this, so you don't have to go through that new website. Get that all squared away.
Are they anticipating a large public dissent?
Honestly, I think it's mixed feelings. Yeah, I think it's mixed. I think. I don't know what to expect. It's,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's a public hearing, so the zoning commission talked about it prior to this.
Mhm.
Do you have a general idea of what the zoning commission thinks about it?
I think the recordings are available in some.
Mhm.
Right.
Um,
I just wasn't sure if
With the
it's like
ones that I know
if it's
are-
like mixed opinions as well from the committee is fully behind it or whatever.
there is general support. There is some concern whether or not the density is appropriate for the city of Groton. And there may be some people who come out that are very concerned about their views. Kind of the reason why higher density was considered for that northern part is because of the elevation that is there with the residential neighborhood. If somebody were to do 4 or 6 stories, it still wouldn't block their views of the river. But then there's just still a lingering question about whether or not that scale is appropriate for the city of Groton. Like, does the city of Groton want to have 4-story, 6-story buildings, or are we a little bit lower or something, but we just have to figure out what our stomach is for that. It seems like the commission is in favor of it, but even with some of the interested parties with this, I haven't heard anyone say they want to do like 6 stories or anything. It's just a couple people that just want to have, they just want more than the 2 units. That might be 3 stories or whatever, but it is really up for the developer. But we kind of set the stage of, you know, if you can go 4 stories as a right, do it.
But this is specifically along Thames Bridge, coming back on north.
Yeah, so only the
Is there a
northern,
line in there?
yeah, only the very northern tip of things, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
things, I
Beyond
think it's
me.
from,
Yeah,
Broad Street,
yeah, around the corner.
yeah. They are. There may be some things mentioned in there about parking, but I think that more so brings parking up to date with the state's, state statutes or regulations, yeah. I think there's another one that maybe mentioned, but the biggest one is the density. And they are kind of moving away from classifications of uses within buildings. So like right now we have it listed and it's kind of, well, if you are this, then you can go in, but if you're not, then you have to come through the commission to do this kind of whole process. It's not very business friendly. So they are kind of looking at just having a broader interpretation for business uses. That way they're not adding an extra layer. So like Alpha's Auto, they bought, that building was formerly a Napa store, so it was auto retail, to now an auto paint protective. And they spent thousands of dollars on an attorney just to go through the process to be able to get into that building. Now they were determined to do that, but another business may not be in a position where they can afford to do something like that.
So parking lots by special permission. By permit.
Mhm.
And that business piece you just talked about, that's not reflected at all in what's being talked about for the public hearing, or?
I think it's not like something that's stressed. I think it's hinted at, like there's like consensus that it does need to be brought. We shouldn't have to list every business that the city of Groton is gonna allow within the city of Groton, but more so kind of just, I don't know if it's themes or more so about the intensity that the business will have on the location. But it's just hinted at, but it's kind of under, I don't think it's gonna be stressed too much. That also kind of brings into question too, so we have a number of businesses in the BioCT Innovation Commons, and not all of them are like a league lab space or et cetera, but the way some of our regulations are written, they really wouldn't be able to graduate from out of that space and stay within the city of Groton. They would need to go elsewhere. Even if it's like a light manufacturing kind of thing. So I don't think this gets into that type of detail, but it starts to kind of have that discussion. This is on for part of the GC zone, so I think Leslie more so wants to do the business discussion, the whole interpretation of the regulations.
Okay.
You can take the hard copy too, if you're anything.
No, that's yours.
I can copy this thing so many times.
It's got a date on it, received.
It's the same one that's online.
Okay.
Please feel free.
That's okay.
If anybody else wants a hard copy for you, I can print some real quick.
I'll take the hard copy. You don't mind?
Take one.
Anyone else have anything to try about?
Nope. In relation to that.
No, Jim. Okay, now just to the agenda, and Sierra is doing that. I will move to adjourn at 6:27. So second. Oh, stop the recording.